From the Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. A 4-day truce deal has been in effect since this morning across the Gaza Strip. It has temporarily halted Israeli aggression against Palestinians. This truce aims to facilitate a prisoner exchange and provide much-needed aid to the region. Hamas has released 24 prisoners. Out of these, 13 are Israelis or dual nationals, 10 Thais, and 1 Filipino. There are about 200 prisoners left in Hamas custody. Israel has also released 39 Palestinian women and children. All are from the occupied West Bank. There are over 10,000 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Despite the ceasefire, Israeli troops fatally shot 2 Palestinians and wounded 11 others as they headed towards northern Gaza. A Turkish news agency reports the Israeli army has dropped leaflets on the southern parts of Gaza, instructing residents not to move to the north. 14,854 civilians have been killed in Gaza since Israel's war on Palestine. These include 8,000 children and 4,000 women. More than 7,000 Palestinians are still reported under the rubble. This figure includes 4,700 children. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees says 108 of its staffers have been killed in the Gaza Strip since Israel started bombing Palestinians indiscriminately. The organization says this is the highest number of United Nations aid workers killed in a conflict in history. 40% of the fatalities have occurred in the south of Gaza. Most of them have been killed with their family members and their children. Estimates by the agency show that almost 1.7 million people in the besieged enclave have been displaced since October 7th. This makes up 8% of the total population. Besides the casualties, health infrastructure and food security is in dire condition. Palestinians in Gaza have been experiencing a major water crisis due to the Israeli blockade to the area since October 7th. A video captured by Turkish news agency Anadolu on Thursday shows a large number of Palestinians waiting in long lines in front of the only water station. The water station is in the Jabalia district of northern Gaza. In addition to the water crisis, Palestinians in Gaza are facing food and fuel shortages. The healthcare sector of the area has collapsed, and there are nearly no sanitation facilities. 8 UK-based BBC journalists have accused their employer of biased reporting in Israel's aggression on Gaza. In an anonymous letter to Al Jazeera, they claim that the BBC is failing to accurately depict the conflict. The letter alleges the media house is humanizing Israeli victims over Palestinians. The letter says that the BBC has a, quote, double standard in reporting compared to other conflicts. They say that the global news network is failing to help the public understand the human rights abuses unfolding in Gaza. A former State Department official has raised concerns that American guns might already be in the possession of Jewish settlers, escalating violence in Palestine. Israel's national security minister faced backlash when distributing assault rifles to Jewish settlers. This prompted U.S. officials to threaten a halt in arms shipments, including 24,000 rifles ordered from American companies. Despite Israeli assurances that the rifles would be under police control within Israel, 4,500 M16 rifles delivery to Israel has been delayed. While the State Department declined to comment, experts suggest that the United States weapons provided to Israel are reaching West Bank settlers. More than 200 Palestinians in the West Bank have been killed by the Jewish settlers in recent times. A recent pro-Palestine sit-in protest at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the United States has stirred controversy. The organizers of the protest are facing allegations of anti-Semitism and violence from a pro-Israel group. The sit-in was organized by the Coalition Against Apartheid. It is a student group that has been advocating for a ceasefire in Gaza. The group is dedicated to ending Israel's occupation of Palestine. Pro-Israeli groups are trying to ban the coalition in the institute. Despite increasing pressure, the president of the coalition says the students will not be affected by intimidation tactics. On November 9th, the coalition held a 12-hour sit-in protest at the institute's main entrance. The demonstrators called for a ceasefire. They also demanded that the Student Exchange Fund for Israeli institutions should end. Anti-war protesters disrupt Thanksgiving parade in New York. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. During the Thanksgiving Day parade in the United States, authorities detained 2 individuals who entered the event area to express their support for Palestine. As participants and onlookers gathered to commemorate the holiday, the detained individuals sat in the middle of the road where the parade was taking place. They were wearing white overalls painted with fake blood. The demonstrators were later forcibly taken away from the area by officers. The identity of the protesters has not been disclosed. Authorities have yet to release an official statement regarding the grounds for the detention. A Brooklyn woman has been taken into custody for throwing coffee at a man and his toddler son. The incident has been captured on video. In the video, the woman can be seen hurling Islamophobic abuse at an Indian American dad wearing a traditional black and white Arab scarf. The scarf is known as a kafia. The victim says the woman repeatedly told him he did not belong in the U.S. and even accused him of being a terrorist. The accused is also facing charges of assault, endangerment of a minor, aggravated harassment, and menacing. Earlier this week, former State Department advisor Stuart Seldowitz was recorded harassing a halal food court vendor in Manhattan. Seldowitz can be heard saying more Palestinian children should be killed. Zainab Chaudhry, the executive director of Maryland's Council on American Islamic Relations, has been temporarily suspended from the Maryland Commission on Hate Crimes. Her removal comes after her pro-Palestine and anti-Israel posts on social media. Attorney General Anthony Brown temporarily suspended Chaudhry's membership. Multiple Maryland Muslim organizations are demanding her reinstatement. An online petition asking for Chaudhry's return has gathered 4,000 signatures. 7 delegates from the Maryland House of Delegates have, however, urged against revoking her suspension, citing concerns of anti-Semitism. Human Rights Watch released a report revealing that Chinese authorities have demolished, closed, and converted hundreds of mosques in the Ningxia region and Gansu province since 2018. This drastic measure is part of Beijing's mosque consolidation policy, aimed at restricting Islam, which includes the removal of Islamic architectural features. The crackdown is seen as a systematic effort to curb the practice of Islam in China, violating religious freedom. Under President Xi Jinping, the government has been sinicizing the religion, cracking down on various religious activities and venues. The Chinese Communist Party views religious beliefs as potentially destabilizing and deploys officials to suppress faith organizations. The overarching goal is to redirect loyalty towards the party. Ningxia and Gansu have significant Muslim populations, and it is estimated that 1/3 of Ningxia's mosques have closed since 2020. Satellite imagery and research by scholars confirm the widespread implementation of this policy. Under President Xi Jinping, authorities in 2017 began efforts to sinicize religion in a nationwide crackdown on Muslim, Christian, and Tibetan Buddhist religious activities and venues. Radio Free Asia reported in 2021 that between 400 and 500 mosques faced closure in Ningxia, which had 4,203 mosques as of 2014. In Gansu, Human Rights Watch cited 4 instances of local authorities combining 10 mosques and altering the Islamic architectural features of 31 mosques. Prominent Kashmiri journalist Fahad Shah has been granted bail by an Indian court after spending over 600 days in jail. The High Court of occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh in its bail order has cited not enough evidence to try him for terrorism-related charges. Shah, the owner and editor of independent news portal Kashmirwala, was banned by the Indian government earlier this year for undisclosed reasons. Shah was accused of glorifying terrorism and spreading fake news for publishing an opinion piece about the Indian occupation and regional freedom. The court said while the Shah's opinion piece called for the succession of Indian-administered Kashmir, its publication does not incite violence or an armed insurrection against the state. His release has been welcomed by media watchdogs and journalists facing a growing crackdown on free press in Kashmir. Shah was arrested in February last year. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.